Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Pumila Dwaba, aka Mrs. Mom, but you guys already know that. It's actually incredible how when I go to like the mall, I'll have like people, it's like a whole family, like the Mrs. Mom family, if I can call it that, and people will come to me like, hi Mrs. Mom, and it's amazing. So anyway, just want to thank you guys for the love. I appreciate it. Don't take it for granted. And yeah, you guys are amazing. Before we go any further, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and recommend the video to your friends. So let's get this video started. Today I decided to do a video. It's kind of a follow-up from my labor and delivery story because I got so many questions and like an overwhelming response. I decided to do a follow-up. It's officially been, I think, 2 months. It's officially been 2 months since I gave birth. And I just want to tell you guys about my experience and how things are going and a whole lot of things based on questions that I get in the DMs and in the comments, etc. It's been 2 months since Nuri's been born. Like I said, she was born at 38 weeks, so it was kind of before time. But the best thing I think I did for myself was during my pregnancy, I really prepared myself mentally for the changes that were going to come after birth and for labor as well. And by saying I prepared myself, honestly, you can never be over prepared or too prepared, and you can never be prepared enough. I hope that makes sense. Like having a baby changes everything. You know when they say it changes everything, it literally does. But I think some preparation does help, and it helped me. So I read a lot. I'm gonna link down the apps that I used. I used the Bump, What to Expect, and Flow. And every day there was daily reads that I used to read on, what to expect, what was happening in my body. And I'm still carrying on with those apps because they're now telling me about the changes of my baby. People are like, oh my gosh, you're glowing, how did you lose the weight, so what do you call it, snap back? And I'm just like, guys, it's called editing, breathing in, and Spanx. So that's the reality. I don't want anyone to ever feel pressure because of what they see on social media. I answered a question the other day and I said, social media is literally 2% of what we show you. I don't always look like this. I promise you, for the last 2-3 months I've looked a bit sideways. Like, luckily I got my hair braided now because maintaining my hair was a bit a lot, especially with the baby. But like, my hair was not great. I have no makeup on. My skin is still adjusting to my hormones, so it's not great at all. It's not at its best. My weight, I only lost, I think, about 7 kilograms, but that's normal because that's the baby, the water, and breastfeeding has helped me. But I haven't lost that much weight. I've still got the belly. I think I look about 3-4 months pregnant. Yeah, but I'm exercising. I run about 2 kilometers a day. I did the Daniel fast, which helped a lot. It helped me to cleanse, so I was only eating fruits and vegetables. Towards the end, it did start decreasing my milk, I must be honest. So I started taking in tea and I started having a bit of yogurt, and then everything went back to normal as soon as I noticed that. So I don't really advise it. Maybe if you want to do a fast of some sort while you're pregnant, maybe do a 1-day Daniel fast, but I don't advise that you do a whole 21-day or 14-day or whatever, because my milk did decrease, but I got it back. Don't worry, y'all. Anyway, still talking about my body. I'm running 2 kilometers a day. I'm eating healthier. It's extremely hard, but discipline. But on holiday, when I was in Cape Town, I went in hard with the food. But it was my birthday, and for the last 5 or 6 years or so, I've been fasting every year on my birthday. So this year, when Hubby said, you know what, I'm taking you to Cape Town, I decided, you know what, I'm going to eat my life away. I'm going to have all the cake, I'm going to have all the meat and all sorts. And I enjoyed myself. Start slow, man. There's a lot of things you can try out with your partner. Try different things that you'll be comfortable with. Make it exciting, and yeah, don't neglect your partner. Because on my birthday, my husband and I decided to go to Cape Town. A lot of people, and I found this like incredibly annoying. Everybody was like, where's Nuri? And in my head, I'm like, I'm still me before Nuri. I love my daughter to death and I'd die and I'd kill for her, but I'm still Bumi. I still have to take care of Bumi, and I still have to take care of my marriage. And this might sound otherwise to other people, but my marriage comes first and then my baby. Because if my marriage is going well, if my husband and I are happy and we're in love, automatically that creates a beautiful, calm atmosphere for my daughter. But if we on each other and we don't get along, then already the environment in the house is not so nice. And I was reading somewhere that kids who grow, actually in one of my apps, that if the parents are unhappy, the baby can actually sense that, and it increases their chances of having depression later on, you know. So I just read an interesting article about that. So I think this is important for mothers to know, that you have to take care of yourself. And that's why I take out time every morning, at least an hour. The gym time belongs to me. That's when I get to think. It's all about me. And we take time, me and my husband, to spend time with each other. So if somebody wants to help, if your mother wants to help, your sister, your nanny, accept the help. You cannot do it alone. Like, Cape Town was amazing. It was just the two of us. I didn't have to think about a lot, except I did have to pump every 4 hours, obviously because my breast would get hot and full, and I had to pump. So that was a bit of an inconvenience, but I'll take it, you know. So I had to pump every 4 hours, but we had so much fun. We got to be girlfriend and boyfriend, you know. It's been a long 9 months, and now with the baby here, it's been a lot of change. And people think, do you guys ever fight? Yes, we do fight. We've had to adjust a lot, and communication is one of those things that we've had to improve on. In fact, beginning of the year, we had to sit down and say, okay, babe, so these are the cracks, this is what's happening, these are the changes. What can we do to make sure that we are taken care of, that we are happy? You know, you have to identify that we're in the different changes that you go through, and that we're in a different space. And we've had to work a lot on making time for each other. In between work, my husband has like 3 different jobs. I have like 3 different jobs. And we have a baby, and unlike most people, we don't have a guaranteed salary. If we don't work, there's no money. So we have to balance work, a baby, and our marriage, and ourselves. So it's one of those things where you just have to be, intentional about it. And we have to be intentional that, you know what, we need to have very good communication, communicate our needs, communicate our feelings. And I've had to learn to say, babe, I am tired. Babe, I need help. Because if I'm just going to be grumpy, walking around, pulling a face, he won't know that I'm tired. So it's one of those things that is required, communication. So my mom was like, you guys didn't breastfeed for long and you were on formula. And I was very determined to breastfeed because I've just read so many benefits of breastfeeding, and I'm not the biggest fan of formula. You know, obviously it works, it helps, it supplements for those who struggle, but I'm not a fan of it, and I didn't want to use it at all. So while I was pregnant, I did start stimulating my breasts. I'd massage them, try squeeze them, you know, just try get them ready for the milk. And I had a whole lot of oats, a whole lot of rooibos tea, and all that stuff, and milk, and all that stuff that is recommended. When I gave birth, Nuri latched immediately. I know that a lot of babies struggle to latch. I don't know what causes them to latch properly, but I was blessed enough to have Nuri latch immediately. So I didn't struggle. In the first 2 weeks, my nipples did crack, but I made sure that I use a whole lot of nipple cream consistently every day after feeds and stuff like that. And with breastfeeding, the great thing is the more you breastfeed, the more milk you actually start making. The milk goes with the demands of the baby. So it's kind of a demand supply situation. So I've been breastfeeding exclusively for the last 2 months. I plan and I hope I can breastfeed at least for a year. At least for a year. It sounds crazy because it is a bit hectic. Like I said, while I was on holiday, I had to keep pumping every 4 hours, which is hectic. But you know what? I think for the sake of my child's health and the benefits of breastfeeding, I'd like to try and keep up with that. I don't know how long it will last. I know it gets challenging, especially if you're a working mom, but I'd like to try. One of the things that I love the most is that when I'm breastfeeding, she looks at me like I'm magic. Like she looks at me the way I looked at ice cream when I was pregnant. Like, oh my gosh, you're the best. best thing that's ever happened to me. And yeah, and that's when we get to bond. That's when I discovered that, oh, she's starting to see, she's starting to play with her hands. She kicks me now. When the milk is that good, you can see her foot is kicking and she's having a great time, and she turns around and she falls asleep. And yeah, and it's amazing. And that's breastfeeding. Along with breastfeeding, because my milk is so much, while I'm breastfeeding on this side, this breast is spraying milk. So which was started becoming a problem because it became messy. So I started pumping on the one breast while feeding on the one breast. So that's now how I get to pump my milk. And I actually brought my stuff here. So my choice, when I was speaking to my mom, like I said, I asked a lot of questions with my mom, is which brand I should go for in terms of bottles, a pacifier, and she recommended Nook. So before I even used the bottles, I was just like, Mom, should I use these bottles? Is this a good brand? And she was like, yeah, that's the brand I use. So at least already I knew that, you know what, it's a trusted brand, it's been there for years, and I'm happy to go with that. And I got this amazing Nook Nature Sense breast pump. So this is an electric breast pump. This is the one that I use. What I absolutely love about this pump is that it's very efficient and it doesn't make a loud noise. Actually, it makes a vibrating sound, and that puts her to sleep. I discovered that 2 weeks ago, that actually this sound helps and puts her to sleep. So this is the pump. It's got an LCD screen. In the screen, it shows you the time it takes you to pump. Then it shows the functions. It's got 16 different functions that obviously these functions you can choose yourself. So it can be slow. It can be slow, fast, however you like it, depending on your needs and how your breasts work exactly, I assume. So with me, what I can do is I can record the function that I like the most. So with recording the function that I like the most, every time I switch it on, I just press play. And already it's recorded. I don't have to keep setting it up. So it's got a memory function that's absolutely amazing. So while I'm holding, because I have to obviously multitask, I'm holding this side, I've got the pump here, then I just press the play button and it goes to my normal function that I've set it to. So that's one of the great things. It's got a great battery life. I think, I'm actually not sure how long it goes up to, but I can go, I think, a day or two with the battery if it's fully charged. And yeah, and that's great because you don't always think of charging it. So you can go pretty long with it. And this is how it looks. This is the suction. This is what sucks out your milk. It basically pulls out your milk. You connect it to one of the Nature Sense bottles. So this one, because it's a Nature Sense pump, it works with the Nature Sense bottle. So you take the bottle, twist it and close it, and here's the tube. So then I just put it in here. Got my pump, put it over here, this side, and Nuri this side. I press my function and I'm already pumping. And in about 15 minutes, I get a 450 ml bottle, especially in the morning. Actually, that's something I wanted to mention. The best time to pump is in the mornings because that's when your milk is at its fullest. But obviously, if you're doing it often, every 4 hours, you should be able to get a full bottle. And then this is how I went to Cape Town. I got these bags. Nook sells them as well. There's different brands that sell them, but I'm obviously using all the Nook things because I just like to use the same brand. It makes sense for me. This one's skewed because Hubby froze it. So what I'll do is I'll pump my bottle and then put it in here. I'll put about 150. It can take up to 180 mils. I'll put my 180 mil, seal it, and then write the date and write the time. And if your milk is frozen like this, it can last up to 3 months. But if you put it in the fridge overnight, it can only last for 24 hours. So I actually suggest that you get these bags, freeze up your milk and have a stash. So by the time I went to Cape Town, I had pumped a whole lot of stash and Nuri was sorted, and I didn't have to resort, my family didn't have to resort to all sorts of things that they could have thought of because she was hungry. I had stored up enough milk. So I think that's the benefit of having a breast pump. And this one's very easy. It's portable. This is like a string that I go with, so when I'm going to work, when I'm away for long, I take it with and I find a place to pump. I think it is very important to emphasize that if you are going back to work or you're busy during the day, pump so that you can keep the flow of your milk going, and that way you can have breast milk for as long as you want. And then sterilizing. I know there's stuff for sterilizing at shops, but I'm not a fan of too many things. So what I do is I have this sterilizing dish. This is how it looks. So I put all my bottles, my pacifier, everything that Nuri uses, and then I fill it with 200 mils of water, and then I put it in the microwave for 4 minutes, and that's how I sterilize my bottle. It's easy, doesn't require a lot, no chemicals, it's clean, and I love it. And yeah, that's my breastfeeding journey basically. So I'm on Nook. I've been using it for the last 2 months, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't want to talk about breastfeeding when people ask me, because I wanted to kind of have an experience before I can talk about it and advise people. But I'm loving breastfeeding. I think it's so worth it, and I managed to maintain my milk while I was away for 2 days, and it's because I got to take my pump with, and I got to pump while I was on holiday. And that's what I plan to do, because I'm sort of back at work. I get to pump during the day and make sure that I've still got my milk. So I have kind of won the sleep training battle. It's still not secure. It's still trial and error at this point. But I do recommend watching YouTube videos, because I've watched experts. I'm not an expert. Just Google how to sleep train a baby. So Nuri only wakes up once at night. I wouldn't even call it night. It's in the morning. She wakes up at 4:30. I think she started doing this at 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks. Yeah. So she sleeps throughout, and she wakes up at 4:30. She feeds, we change her, she sleeps, she wakes up again at about 6:30. She feeds, she changes, and then eventually she wakes up at 10 o'clock. Yeah. So during the night, we have a full night of sleep. So when people say they're sleep deprived, I'm just like, well, I'm not part of that WhatsApp group. I'm sleeping. Obviously, the first 2 weeks, she woke up every 2 hours. I had to feed her every 2 hours because she was such a tiny baby. But as she grew, as she got used to it, she started waking up less. And eventually, we've gotten to a point where she just wakes up once. How I did that? In order to sleep train your baby, it's very important to teach them to self-soothe. Now, what self-soothe? And the problem with most babies, especially breastfed babies, is that you want to keep them in your arms and they want to fall asleep on the breast, and you want to shoo them, and they get used to that, you know. And babies should learn to self-soothe. So what I did is I started this slowly, and I started it during the day. It's a painful experience, but you're gonna thank me. Is during the day, when it's almost nap time, you feed her. After feeding her, you burp her. If you need to change her, you change her, and then you go and put her down in her room. But obviously this must work hand in hand with the normal nap time. Don't just like randomly when she's wide awake want to now sleep train her and force her to sleep. It should work in conjunction to her nap time. So what I did is that after I fed her, burped her, and changed her, I put her in her bed, in her cot. And then if she takes a pacifier, put a pacifier in her mouth. But if she doesn't, don't. My baby doesn't really like it. She takes it sometimes when my mom forces it on her, but with me, she doesn't want it. And then you put her down and you leave her in the room. She is obviously going to cry because she's used to being soothed. She's used to falling asleep on the breast. She's used to being sung to and all of that. So you put her down and you leave her. She's going to cry, but you're going to have to leave her. The maximum time you can leave her for is about 15 minutes. If she hasn't stopped crying by 15 minutes, then pick her up. Maybe she's not sleepy, or she's irritated, uncomfortable, and something's wrong. But between 0 to 15 minutes, she should fall asleep. It's going to be irritating hearing her cry. You're going to want to pick her up. You're going to want to check on her, but that will be destructive, and it's going to make it hard for her to sleep train. So what I did is I left her, and the first time she actually cried for about 5 minutes, and I can even hear the cries. By now, I think by 4 or 5 weeks, you should be able to differentiate your baby's different cries. And you know the I'm sleepy cry, then I I suck at the cries, but you should hear. And there's the screaming cry. So she cried. I was tempted to check on her, but I was told not to check on her. You have to leave her alone. If you check on her, you're only going to make things worse. So I left her and she slept by herself. And the next time I did it again in the evening, she cried a little longer, but I left her. And it's important that you tell the people around you who help you that they must leave her to sleep by herself. And by self-soothing, automatically it kind of helped her sleep in the night. I don't know how. And another thing that's important for her to sleep longer throughout the night is to make sure that she's well fed. So Nuri, our timetable is that at 7:30 I feed her for about, it depends, she doesn't always feed the same amount of time, but for about 20-25 minutes. It can be shorter, it can be longer, but at 8 o'clock every single night she takes her bath. I make no mistake about that. Babies love routine. Keep your baby's routine. And by 8 o'clock now, already you can see if I'm late by a minute or two, she's already feeling uncomfortable, crying, and so babies love routine. Stick to your routine that works for you. So at 8 o'clock I bath her, I dress her, I read to her if I can, but by 8:15 she's in her bed. It doesn't take long to bath a baby, it takes like 5 minutes. By 8:15 she's in her bed. She'll cry, make a noise, but right now she gets used to it. She's sleeping. Sometimes she will wake up at 10 o'clock and have a feed or might have pooped, but for the most part every night she sleeps throughout. And that's my cue because she's crying now and she's awake. I love you guys. Leave a comment. Let me know how breastfeeding's going for you. What are you using? Let me know how sleep training is going, and let me know how the post body is going. And don't pressure yourself. It took you 9 months to make the baby. It can take you 9 months or even longer to get rid of everything. Are you bringing her to me? Okay. Come, sissy. Hello, darling. Oh. Okay. Bye, guys. And I love you lots.